Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, what's the deal with hotel bathrooms? Plus, a shocking change coming to Starbucks menu. All that and more on the way next. It is the Hudson Show from RadioU. Have you ever made yourself a Hot Pocket and thought, what is the point of this sleeve? I know it says it crisps it up, but does it really? Well, you're not alone. Hot Pockets has also thought the same thing. They recently confirmed a massive change that some people had already noticed rolling out before they said anything about it. And that is that they are getting rid of the crisping sleeve that used to be an iconic part of what you knew when you got a Hot Pocket. You get it out, you pop it in the sleeve, and you go to work in the microwave. Those are a thing of the past now, according to Hot Pockets. Now, they cannot go ahead and make this announcement without trying to also still make some money off of it. So along with the announcement, they've also announced the release of a holiday sweater with zip-off sleeves selling for $40 exclusively on their website that features a distressed melting snowman. Very funny, Hot Pockets. Now, again, if you've thought, I don't know if this crisping sleeve actually does anything, is it really any crispier? It seems that this is Hot Pockets' admission that you don't actually need that crispy sleeve, that it makes no difference whatsoever, until you realize that Hot Pockets also offers a reusable dishwasher safe holding sleeve, but that's been sold out for a while. I don't know, maybe that's just for handy carrying and probably not microwave safe. I don't know, but I think we'd have to do this before it's too late. There's still some Hot Pockets packages out there floating around with sleeves, right? We have to make two of the exact same Hot Pocket, one with a sleeve and one dip and not, and go in blindfolded and see if one is crispier than the other. Chances are, I'm going to say, I really believe this, that have no noticeable difference whatsoever. Now, it brings me to my final point. Since they're getting rid of the crisping sleeves, that means we get a discount, right? Like 5 cents less on every Hot Pocket box. I think that's only fair. It's the Hudson Show. Yankees Stadium in the Bronx last night. The Yankees facing elimination against the Dodgers. And unfortunately, it wasn't the players on the field that wound up being the headline. Instead, it was the fans at Yankee Stadium. First of all, in the bottom of the first inning, Mookie Betts, all-star outfielder for the Dodgers, goes to make a catch in foul ground. His glove goes in to the stands to make the catch. And as he's in the stands, two fans start grab his glove and kind of get into a scrum with him. I believe he still made the catch miraculously, but those fans were quickly thrown out of the stadium, booed. Some were saying it's actually hilarious that they paid like probably $1,500 at least for those tickets, front row seats, even though it was in foul territory, and they made it through 4 outs, and probably will not be allowed at any Yankees game ever again, if I had to guess. But the fun didn't stop there. The idiocy, I should say, didn't stop there, because then in the 5th inning, there was a moment of silence for Stand Up to Cancer. And of course, one Yankees fan has to shout out, "You suck, Freeman," at Freddie Freeman during the moment of silence, which is obviously just a horrible move. It becomes even more horrible, and I'm sure this guy likely didn't know this, but it becomes even more horrible when you know that Freddie Freeman's mother actually died of cancer. So, of course, that makes matters even worse. Now, these are 3 fans in a sea of tens of thousands. They don't represent the whole fan base. However, it sure doesn't make you feel any worse to think about the Yankees losing and getting eliminated from the World Series here, hopefully tonight. But you can't argue with the results. All these fans, they actually did somehow propel the Yankees to a victory. Aaron Judge even actually got a hit last night. They won 11-4. To survive another day. So we'll see Game 5 of the World Series coming up tonight. And hopefully, I think I speak for all of us when I say the Dodgers finish this thing off. Some concerning news from NASA, where they have warned their astronauts that are up on the International Space Station about 50 areas of concern in regards to the International Space Station. They've been warned, the astronauts have, that it is a top safety risk in those 50 areas of concern. I mean, it's in space. It's an International Space Station. It's not that big. 50 areas of concern makes it sound like the entire thing is an area of concern, which I suppose makes sense. This thing was built in the 90s. It's darn near 30 years old, and there are some buildings here on Earth that are less than 30 years old that aren't doing so great. Forget about stuff in space where it's not like you can just send a Renault crew up there to kind of patch up everything. I guess that's kind of the astronaut's job while they're up there. Is like, hey, you notice anything off? Just feel free to make the repairs yourself, except keep in mind they're astronauts. They're not handymen. So you can understand why the International Space Station may be getting into a state of disrepair. Also keep in mind that they're trying to figure out a way to get this thing back down to Earth and destroy it, which sounds unnecessary. Just get the astronauts off of there. Let it destroy itself in space. It's doing a just fine job of that. Plus, they're talking about these astronauts, watch out. It's a top safety risk. Be careful up there. What are the astronauts supposed to do? It's not like they can just be like, okay, I'll go to the other space station to be safe. There's nowhere for them to go. I don't understand this whole space. I just hate space. I hate it. I hate it. We get these astronauts home and leave that space station up there. We don't need that down here. It sounds like it costs a lot of money to do that. And I think it'll be just fine decomposing up there in space all by its lonesome. Joe Mazzulla, championship winning coach for the Boston Celtics. He's got some ideas, I think, to make the NBA a little better. He was sharing them in a recent interview with NBC Sports Boston. And I love this. Here's the quote from Joe Mazzulla, coach of the Boston Celtics. The biggest thing that we rob people of from an entertainment standpoint is you can't fight anymore. We should bring back fighting. I mean, if you want to talk about robbing the league of entertainment, what's more entertaining than a little scuffle? How come in baseball they're allowed to clear the benches? How come in hockey they're allowed to? Yes, because hockey and baseball have been doing so well from a rating standpoint. Now, I'm totally with Joe Mazzulla on this. I think the NBA would be better if there's just a little sanctioned fighting. If players were allowed to throw hands. I'll tell you why. It's because I always think this, that then it would be obvious, like if the players were just allowed to get into it a little bit, it would make it feel more like they care. If you see the players out there throwing some punches against the other team, then you're thinking, yeah, they care. They care just as much as I do. I wish I could punch that guy. And then now look at, there's Derek White for the Celtics punching somebody on the Pacers. I love the idea. You know what? Sometimes dudes just need to sort things out in a physical manner. It works in hockey. In baseball, occasionally it comes to a head. I think the NBA would be a little better off if everybody was, just a little more, and maybe that would help police the game too, is what they say about hockey for sure. Maybe guys would be a little more nervous. Maybe Draymond would be a little more nervous on the Warriors to stop throwing elbows unnecessarily if he knew that he could get cold cocked by somebody on the Kings. That's all I'm saying. I think I like what Joe Mazzulla is saying here. Bring fighting to the NBA. I'm with him. Kara sent us a Halloween-themed Would You Rather Wednesday for Halloween Eve at 8772 RadioU. Chime in with your thoughts on this one. Would you rather go trick-or-treating alone as an adult or even as a kid, like without parents or friends? That'd be kind of weird, right? Or would you rather go as an adult, but you're responsible for 7-7-year-olds? Many good responses coming in. D says only 7. That's not a big deal. I definitely wouldn't trick or treat as an adult. So I guess it's the 7-7-year-olds, and she has experience taking care of kids that sounds like aren't hers. So that feels like not a big deal. I don't know. To me, a 7-year-old is like the most chaotic age because, 5-year-olds, how could they even misbehave? Like they can barely walk at 5. 7, they're old enough to be crazy and also not old enough to really take care of themselves. And then you add 7 to the mix and they're probably a bad influence on each other is how I picture it. So I don't know. D, if you've got it, I'll take your word for it. Regina says, I guess I'll go with the group of 7-year-olds. At 7, they're at the point where they should listen fairly well. Should they? I can implement the buddy system, except for one child, and I can be loud when I want to be. I also find trick-or-treating as an adult odd. I mean, yeah, that's the idea here. Susanna says 7 kids sounds fun and cute. Alone sounds creepy. And Michael says, I'm going out on a limb, Hudson. 7 kids would be a whole lot of fun. Okay. All right. I like that. The idea that it'd actually be fun. I like what Elle says. She says trick-or-treating is such a dying art in my area, so I'd love to give the kids the experience of it. That's interesting. I have a lot of kids that trick-or-treat in my area, but they don't come to my house because we kind of live like on the end, not at a dead end, but like where the end of the street goes into a street that has no houses on it, like a main road. So you wouldn't want to walk down that. So then people just they turn off before they get to my house. At least that's what I think. I don't think there's not another reason they wouldn't come to my house, is there? Let's see. We heard from Tara, who says, definitely with the kids, it'd be way more fun to experience Halloween through their eyes. Chris says, solo for me. It sounds like a blast, actually. Okay. The first person to chime in with that idea. Emily, here we go. This is more along the lines of my thinking. Alone, it'd be a fun social experiment, and I'd get candy without the chaos of managing 7 little sugar highs. That's what I'm thinking. Like, you give kids candy too in the mix. It was Sam, 7-year-olds for sure. I'd probably get way better candy if I was helping the kids out. Plus, it'd be fun to just see how excited they get. I mean, I think that'd be fun at first. I think after a while, I just think 7 kids, 7-year-olds, be a lot to handle. Plus, you're like, if you're going and taking care of 7 kids, the only candy you're getting is the candy you steal from them. You cannot walk up to the house too as an adult. Hey, these are the 7 kids I've got. Oh yeah, by the way, give me a Twix too. That's not going to work. As an adult alone, you might get some weird looks, but you're also going to get candy. How many people are honestly going to turn you away? It does sound like a fun Impractical Jokers situation to me. Maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. Put on my Popeye costume, head out in my neighborhood, see how much candy I actually get. I think that'd be great for the Hudson RadioU TikTok. So I'm clearly in the minority here. I'm going alone. Most others think they can handle 7-year-olds. Good luck to you. Halloween on the Hudson Show. Thanks for making us a part of it. A spooky day, to say the least, which makes sense that I would see this. The most common nightmares that Americans say they have. Number 1, no surprise. It's falling. 64% of people say that they have experienced in the past year a nightmare where they were falling. I've never experienced that. Never once in my life have I experienced falling in a nightmare, but 2/3 of people say that happens to them every single year. Just about the same amount of people say that they've experienced dreams where they've been chased. I'm not sure if I did have a dream where I was chased. It definitely didn't stand out to me. That wasn't the most scary thing that happened in that dream. And a distant third, this is something I've never thought about. A dream where you lose all of your teeth. Although I have thought about that happening to me in real life. You ever get something stuck in your teeth and you're like, what if I get this thing stuck, but unstuck, but then all of my teeth, like they're held in like Legos or something, and then they all just kind of... Does anybody else think that, or is that just me? I don't know. These are not the dreams that I have. I don't usually get like typical nightmares that are, like, I don't know, clowns, people attacking me, I'm falling, I'm naked, those kind of things. It's more like either awkward situations I'd rather not be in, or I don't know, I have to tell somebody they're fired or something, or it's like where the Chicago Bears win the Super Bowl. Fortunately, when that happens, it's easy to wake up and tell myself, oh, that'll never happen. It's just a dream. It's fake. It can never happen in real life. Don't worry about it. The Dodgers are World Series champions. If you didn't stay up for the game last night, they did defeat the Yankees 7-6. It was looking grim if you were a Dodgers fan or a Yankees hater, as Producer Aly and I both are. Last night, I think it was through 4 innings. Not only were the Yankees up 5-0, the Dodgers didn't even have a hit. They had been no hit by Garrett Cole. And then the 5th inning happened. And if you missed it, it was it's just the kind of thing you would expect to see this in the Little League World Series. And that is the Yankees 3 errors in a row. First, Aaron Judge, the best player in baseball. Yeah, maybe not, because he dropped a routine fly ball to allow the Dodgers to continue their inning. Then Anthony Volpe, who is the shortstop for the Yankees, bad throw on a routine ground ball to third base. So he messed that up. And then there was one more error where this one was the funniest one, is where Anthony Rizzo, the first baseman for the Yankees, fields a ball. Garrett Cole just does not run to first base. The Yankees pitcher doesn't run to first base. And so there a run scores there. And then from there, the Dodgers got a couple hits. This is what's crazy. The Dodgers tied the game at 5 in that inning. Aaron Cole allowed 5 runs. He allowed 0 earned runs. And
You mean Garrett Cole, right?
yeah, Garrett Cole. What did I say?
Aaron Cole.
Oh yeah, different Cole.
Yes,
He also didn't allow any earned runs in the game last night. It was, and then the Yankees actually did get the lead after that, but the Dodgers did wind up coming back to win 7-6. But just a very satisfying way to watch the Yankees lose. And not that I'm a big Dodgers fan, but it feels good to wake up today having the Dodgers as World Series champions and not the Yankees.
I gotta say, I was so excited because I went to bed with it being 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, all right, here come the Yankees. They're mounting this great comeback. You know, they were down 3-0 in this series, and they won in Game 4 to stay alive. Here they are again winning in Game 5. So I go to bed because, you know, I got to get up early. Mm-hmm. And I wake up this morning at like 4 a.m. and I, look at my phone, and the first thing I see is a headline that says the LA Dodgers have won the World Series. And I literally said out loud, wait, what? And then I got to see that craziness that ensued. And the headline basically said, the Dodgers win on Yankee errors. Yeah. And so it's kind of insane that it was all in that one inning where it's just the Yankees mentally fell apart because those are mental errors.
Yeah. There's they just kind of compound on each other if you're a team that's a little shaky, and that's what the Yankees are. Most baseball games 5-0, especially in the World Series, you're like, okay, this is over.
Yeah.
We'll get them next time. But not when it's the Yankees. When the Yankees are up 5-0. So it feels good. I am sorry if you're a Yankees fan. You got to feel sick waking up today. Mm-hmm. I'd probably call into work. I wouldn't even go today if I was a Yankees fan. So if you're out and about today, kudos to you. Probably not, if I had to guess, not wearing your Yankees hat, though. Not your memorabilia. Maybe not the day for that. Congratulations, Dodgers. Happy Halloween. Feels appropriate. Feels apt every Halloween. You see Airbnbs and houses for sale that are supposedly haunted, supposedly where somebody was murdered or just happened to die or whatever. But the question is, should people, when they're selling homes, have to tell you? Because some people wouldn't want to live in a house that has had someone die in it before. So let me ask you, Producer Aly, you seem more comfortable with the spooky side of things. Do you think that it should be required if you're buying a home, if somebody died in it, should the real estate agent, I suppose, have to tell you, disclose that to you before you buy the house?
I don't know if it's just like someone, if it's someone that died, or maybe if it's someone that was murdered, like, hey, there was a murder here. That's why this house is for sale. Something like that. Maybe disclose that information. But I don't know if it's because at some point, like, a house is just going to be old enough that, someone's likely died there. But that seems less like a problem to me versus like, oh, yeah, somebody got killed here. Like, so that's worse.
It matters whether somebody just happened to die there of natural causes. They had a heart attack or whatever, or if they were actually murdered in some way. Yeah. That's the distinction.
For me.
But why?
Because that makes...
What difference does it make?
That makes a huge difference.
Well, what different? What is the difference?
Well, because, eventually everyone is going to die. Yeah. So we shouldn't be afraid of death. Uh-huh. That's how I view it, you know. But if someone was murdered, that's a whole different story. Their life was taken from them before they were supposed to be.
But you're not worried about you getting murdered in the house just because of that, are you?
Maybe.
I guess it depends where it is.
Exactly. Like, has this murderer been found? Like,
I feel like people are they're less concerned with, like, I don't want to buy a house that had a murder or a death happen in it. They just don't want to find that out after they've been living there for a long time, is what always seems to happen. And I don't know why. I don't think it, you know what? At the end of the day, if a house did have a murder in it, I would probably, I'd still buy it if I liked the house, because that probably means you're going to get a good deal, and I can't afford a house anyways. So if I could afford a house because somebody was killed in it, then I guess I'm going to take the house. You know what beggars can't be choosers, is what I'm saying.
This is a plot of a horror film, right?
I'm sure it's a plot of many.
A plot of a horror film of, like, a house that was super cheap. Yeah. Because there was a murder here. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, it's a great deal. And he doesn't tell his family, oh, a whole family was murdered.
And I've seen people complain about this happening in real life. And to me, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Because then how does that affect me? It doesn't affect me. The only way it affects me is a positive. It makes the house cheaper.
But what if the murder hasn't been caught?
They're still
on the loose.
And they only murder people in this house.
Maybe.
It's a house thing. It's not a people thing.
It's a house thing.
Yeah, this house, it's just bad security. It's just easy to murder people in this house is actually what it is. That's why somebody was killed here.
Right. You can't tell me that's not a possibility.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, I don't know. It feels like the more you can know about the house you're buying, the better. But I just don't think that previous murders affect me all that much.
Zillow.com, add that as a distinction.
Yeah.
Now. Has someone been murdered in this
you know
house?
some people will be looking for that. Fired or hired on the Hudson Show. Whenever you run into workplace issues, you need a mediator that holds absolutely no sway in court. That's what the Hudson Show is here for. You can send them on into us at 8772 RadioU. Get ready to share your thoughts on this one. I appreciate the efficiency that this person had when disclosing their issue to us. They say, is it wrong to eat spicy food at lunch at work? I've been eating spicy food at lunch for years. But recently, a new hire told me it was rude because it burned her nose. Is this something that's common, or is she just extremely sensitive to smells? Should I stop eating spicy food at lunch? Some good responses coming in. Paulo says, the organization shouldn't change to accommodate a newbie. The newbie must adapt to what already exists. That's, so if they don't like it there, they're the new one. They have to figure it out. Felicia says, if it bothers her, she should be the one moving away or eating at a different time. This one, follow me on this one because it gets to a point. Stevie, personally, I hate the smell of Alfredo sauce. I know a few people like that, actually. How do you feel about Alfredo?
I like Alfredo.
Yeah, what's the problem with Alfredo? But some people, it's a problem. Stevie says it makes me gag. When people heat up their Alfredo leftovers, I have this one weird trick. I leave the room. And this is the last one I have at the moment, is Keith, who says, generally it's not rude, but it does depend on how spicy we're talking. I don't know, like, what are we measuring our food on the Scoville scale now? Like,
right.
Is there some limit?
How many Scovilles is it?
Yeah. That said, a new hire trying to police other people's behavior is a bit of a red flag. You might want to start documenting any interactions with her in case she tries escalating when she doesn't get her way. Aly, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, first of all, that last comment's a little extreme, but I will say I am the new hire here in the RadioU office, so I guess I would not feel like I could really say, hey, Hudson, stop eating this for lunch or whatever. That just seems kind of rude, especially if you're new.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of an odd request, like, hey, it's too spicy for my nose. Like, what? Like,
yeah. I know some people are sensitive, but like, here at RadioU, Nene makes fish pretty frequently. That's pretty smelly. I don't mind the smell of it, though. But like, my office is right by the break room. I don't say anything to Nene. Aly made popcorn for lunch the other day. Did I say anything to Aly? No. Even though it made the entire building smell like popcorn.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, right. I don't think that you know, I don't know what it would have to be for me to even, as a established employee, say to anybody, "Nah, you can't eat that for lunch." That's crazy talk to me.
If it was like,
I'm not in charge.
Right. I genuinely agree with that and would not have any qualms other than if it was like ghost pepper, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, you can't bring this in.
Yeah. But how sensitive do you have? I mean, or how sensitive or how spicy does this have to be for somebody to actually complain?
Or for it to burn your nose. I've never heard of it burning someone's nose, just like smelling spice. But
that's an exaggeration, right?
I would hope so. Like,
if it really, and listen, if the food is really burning your nose, guess what? You get to go home for the day. It's an excuse to take some time off. I actually like that. Happy Thursday, happy Halloween here on the Hudson Show. Producer Aly, there are two main myths I feel that go around every year around Halloween. You know what they are?
I do, but that's because I looked at the article beforehand.
You cheated.
I didn't know you were going to ask me this.
I guess it is your job as a producer to produce and get things ready. But you know what they are. Every year, there's concerned parents out there telling their kids, watch out, let me check your candy for razor blades. Is that just an excuse for the parents to be able to look at the candy and like steal some off the top, scrape some off the top, you know?
Yeah, according to this research, it really is, because in the past 5 years that this research has been done from Columbus Police and Mount Carmel Health Systems, there have been 0 cases reported of razor blades in candy.
That'd be a crazy. Why would somebody even do that? Like, I know there's crazy people.
Yeah.
But that's even crazy people are like, I'm not doing that. Also, the other myth is that there would be some kind of drugs in your candy as a child that, that either it's marijuana, or the candy that looks like candy, but it's like Spittles, which would be a horrible name, by the way. But it's like it's packaged so it looks like it's a candy that you would eat as a child, but it's actually got like some kind of marijuana in it or whatever. Or like some people are just concerned that there's just straight up actual drugs that are like hidden in candy, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To, like smuggle them or whatever. Apparently that also never happens.
Yeah, that seems like more of a rational fear. Like, okay, yeah, I could see that, not likely, but I could see that happening versus a razor blade. But yeah, also 0 cases of that reported in the past 5 years.
Yeah. So that means that you can trick or treat safely tonight and not worry about those things. Although they do point out the real danger of Halloween is, well, I guess one, probably eating way too much candy, wrecking your teeth and stuff. But even more so than that is road safety. You don't want to get hit by a car. And on Halloween too, people are a lot of times like going to Halloween parties. Maybe they're more likely to be drinking too. So you just got to that's why you got to be careful out there. But razor blades, you heard it from Hudson and Producer Aly. No razor blades to be found.
You're safe.
Watch this be the one year that somebody throws a razor blade into a candy. They're going to use this against us. Happy Thursday. Happy Halloween here on the Hudson Show. Thanks for making us a part of your day. I still remember the first time I stayed in a hotel that didn't have a real actual bathroom door or walls. It was like glass. It was super awkward because it was me and my friend who was getting married. And I was his best man, and we were sharing a room the night before. So, you couldn't actually see through the bathroom walls because they're frosted glass. But it was still you didn't really feel private.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it's like, is this supposed to be fancy or what? And, am I not supposed to complain because it's fancy? I'm glad to know that I'm not the only person that's had qualms with this, because the story has come out explaining why hotels do this, why it's become more and more of a trend to make hotel bathrooms less and less private. Apparently, it's just because designers are tasked with the hotel rooms becoming smaller and smaller. They're shrinking somehow. I don't know how. They're shrinking. And so they have to be more creative with how they actually incorporate bathrooms in the first place. So we're really lucky we have doors on our bathrooms at all.
Right.
Is what I'm gathering from this.
Yeah, we're super lucky. And one of the things I thought was interesting was not only did they mention the whole space thing, but they also mentioned budget. They have less and less budget now, which makes sense. Economy, not doing as great.
Inflation running rampant.
Yeah, so that makes sense. One of the things they said helps with budgeting is because when they use that frosted glass rather than a wall or a door, a solid door that you can't see through, is it blocks out light in a windowless room, which would be the bathroom. And so that's kind of why they have resorted to maybe using frosted glass or no door at all, so they can kind of let more light into that room and not have to spend as much money on overhead lights.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
But I do want to find a story now that we have at least answers on this, why they make the dang light switches so impossible to figure out. And talking about the bathrooms, why do newer hotels, you go into the shower and it's a mystery how to actually operate? It's like a puzzle that you're supposed to figure out. And if you don't have I feel like I'm doing that test at Cracker Barrel where you jump the pegs, and if I can't figure out how to do the shower, I'm an idiot. Right. This is just a test to find out how stupid you are. If I have to call the front desk to figure out how to shower, first of all, I guess I'm just not showering. I'm going to be stinky. But also, I just, feel like a real ignoramus.
Yeah, there's really nothing that makes you feel worse as a human than when you realize when you go to take a shower somewhere that's not where you usually shower at your own house, own apartment or whatever. And you're like, wait a second, I don't actually know how to turn this thing on.
Why are there 7 knobs?
Right.
Or why is there 1 knob, but it only makes the bath go and not the shower? Like,
Right.
that's just it never makes sense.
It's never intuitive.
All this just makes me want to, I know it can be more expensive and they have their own issues, but kind of makes me want to just stay in Airbnbs.
Kind of just makes me want to stay home.
I love that scientists did this. The infinite monkey theorem. It is an old saying, and some say it goes back to Aristotle, which doesn't even make sense. But the idea that you could give 1,000 monkeys 1,000 typewriters, and eventually they'd come up with Shakespeare if they had enough time, right? Well, that's, it's similar to the way a blind squirrel finds a nut, whatever. You keep trying something, it's going to eventually, just by dumb luck, it's going to happen. So scientists wanted to test if this was actually true. And so what they did was they simulated giving every single chimpanzee in the world right now, which would be 200,000 chimpanzees, if they each had access to a keyboard and could type until the end of the universe, which they say is, we're just going to say a lot of time. If they basically could type forever, the monkeys were immortal and could type forever, would they be able to come up with any Shakespeare? What they found is the best the monkeys could do was probably, it was the best of times, it was the blurst of times. No, it's actually, there's only a 5% chance that they would be able to even type the word bananas before the universe failed to exist. Forget about typing out an entire Shakespeare play or novel. I think it's great that scientists went ahead and tested this out and simulated this to see if it was true. However, I don't know if you've noticed a major flaw in their test. They were talking about chimpanzees. Say it with me. Chimpanzees are not monkeys. They don't have tails. They are apes. And this is a hill that I will die on, which it invalidates the entire study altogether. And so I guess we'll just never know. We'll never know if all the monkeys in the world could write Shakespeare if you gave them all the typewriters in the world. We'll just never know. A squirrel that was rescued by a man in New York that has gone viral over the past 7 years or so, an impressive following on TikTok, Instagram, and elsewhere, has been confiscated. The squirrel's name, Peanut. It's been confiscated by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. They actually came to this guy, the owner of the squirrel's home. Can anyone really own a squirrel? His name is Mark Longo. They came to his house with like a search warrant. This guy says they came to my house and raided my house without a search warrant to find a squirrel. I was treated as if I was a drug dealer and they were going for drugs and guns. What they were actually trying to do was save this squirrel as well as a raccoon. I believe that, where did that go? I think the raccoon's name is Rocky. I could be making that up, but if not, that's the perfect name.
I think its name is Fred.
Fred. I don't know where I got Rocky from, but because that would be a good name for a raccoon.
Rocky the raccoon, yeah.
But what I'm unclear on, they exactly what they led them to be so confident, the officials, that they needed to go to this guy's house. I know they say they have multiple reports from the public about potential unsafe housing of wildlife. They say it could carry rabies, and they also believe it was illegal keeping of wildlife as pets. So that means this guy had some nosy neighbors that were like, you can't be keeping that squirrel around. And they were so adamant about it. They kept calling the authorities until the authorities finally showed up at his house, and they're like, you can't have this squirrel. And they took it away. And so now Peanut, I guess, being relocated to somewhere more suitable for him, and now leaving his Instagram and TikTok followers without the content they so crave.
If you read the article, this makes me so sad. The owner of Peanut and Fred is
Fred the raccoon
is pretty sure that Peanut has been euthanized.
Oh no!
And I'm like, come on!
That's not rescuing him at all.
No, what? This is awful.
So wait, did he actually have rabies?
No,
I'm sure that's what they'll say after the fact.
I think at that point it's just too impossible to obviously relocate a now domesticated
Yeah,
squirrel.
you can't put him back into the wild.
No, he
they
won't
should have
survive.
found like a home for him. There, somebody was used to caring for a squirrel. Oh wait, maybe this guy.
Maybe give it back.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know. I wonder if the neighbors. This is just like the rooster story that we were like.
It's Rico.
You can complain all you want, but when you complain, think about what actually is going to happen. Are you really concerned about the squirrel? Because if you were, are you complaining to save the squirrel or just because the squirrel annoys you?
Yeah, like that. This whole thing, he's pretty sure the reason why this happened was because Peanut and Fred were obviously blasted on social media.
Yeah.
And people on social media actually turned him into deck and not like neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows you got to be careful with what you post online.
Yeah. Yeah. You just, it's getting harder and harder to make money off of
Off your animals.
squirrels and raccoons. It's really hit me hard. I was going to go into that field. Now, not
Very
as
lucrative.
Now it doesn't seem as viable for me. A lot of risk. Starbucks making a change to their menu, a change that maybe brings some controversy with it. The controversy is, why didn't they do this sooner? Why did they have this on the menu in the first place? They are getting rid of that olive oil coffee, the Oleato, or however you say it. Keep in mind, that debuted back in January. It didn't even make it a full year before Starbucks decided to pull the plug on the drink that, many people complained that it gave them many different digestive issues, to say the least. So you are not going to be able to order Oleato at any Starbucks after November 7th. So you've only got a few days left to enjoy that. That's also, though, the hand strikes and gives a flower the same day that they're going to be launching their holiday drink menu. So at least there's something to look forward to. And you know this is the right move, because anytime a famous restaurant removes something from the menu, there's always somebody out there that's like, no, you can't take that away. That's my favorite. I don't think anybody's doing that about this. That's how you know it's got to go. This weekend brings with it at least one massive college football matchup, and that is Ohio State and Penn State, noon Eastern on Saturday. Before we even get into prognosticating how the game will go, how do we feel about it being a big noon kickoff game in Pennsylvania? We get Ohio State and Penn State, but under the light of the sun.
Instead of the light of the light?
The stadium, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with it because I do like the whole big noon kickoff thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fun concept of making that almost like a early prime time game.
Yeah.
That's what Fox has turned it into. It's cool. And I appreciate that because, at least as an Ohio State fan, the biggest game of the year is always at noon for us, which is coming up later this season. So I am excited, but I will say there is something special about Happy Valley in a whiteout at night. It's going to look interesting in the light. It's going to look just like a white wall, because it's going to be like the gray Pennsylvania sky with all the people dressed in white.
Yeah, I am super disappointed. And I like big noon kickoff in a sense that I like that when you have a big game at noon and then like you get the 3:30 games too, like, and then you just make a whole day of, you have a whole, as me, I'm just a college football fan. I want to see great games all day long. I'm fine with wasting my Saturday sitting on the couch or going out somewhere and just watching football for 12 hours. But the big games are still the best under the lights. And what you find is many times the games that aren't the most marquee matchups that wind up being at night still wind up being more fun than the games that are supposed to be the best that get placed at noon. So I have to say, James Franklin, coach of Penn State, had some sarcastic remarks, and he's certainly not the first coach to make these comments. He just said, there's nothing better than Happy Valley at noon, which obviously that's not true. There is things better. It's Happy Valley at night. I do think it's disappointing, but and it should play, I would think, to Ohio State's advantage this weekend that they slightly friendlier environment than they would be going into if it was at night. So how do you think the game's going to go?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's going to be low scoring because the past few weeks from what we've seen from Ohio State, it's been a little bit of a struggle sometimes on both sides of the ball. We've seen a little bit more some defensive struggles and offensive struggles. So yeah, like on both sides of the ball. So I think most of the time when I've watched these Ohio State Penn State games, they're not usually that high scoring. They're more of a slugfest, and you might end up with like a 31-24 score. So my assumption is it would be something like that, where you will have scoring. It's not going to be like 10-7 or something.
Yeah, right.
But
it's not going to be an Iowa game.
No, it's not going to be an Iowa game. But I don't think it's going to be a boat race where you're like, oh, suddenly it's 50-46 or something like that, where it's just insane scores.
Maybe Ohio State debatable, but Penn State doesn't definitely seem to. I mean, we don't even know who their quarterback's going to be at this point, I don't think, with Drew Aller's injury. So neither team exactly has a quarterback you can count on to score a lot of points against a good defense. In addition, Ohio State, they have offensive line issues. Penn State is great on the D-line, so that's another reason Ohio State may have trouble generating offense. All that and they're on the road. All that leads me to think Penn State would win, except it's Penn State and James Franklin. And, good things just can't happen to me. Ohio State can't just lose more than one game in a regular season. Good things like this don't happen to me. So I think Ohio State will win. I also think, too, there's no other like marquee matchups. There's only one other ranked matchup. It's Pitt SMU, which should be fun under the lights at night. But I think some teams should be on upset alert this weekend. The first weekend in November, oftentimes, right before the rankings come out, can be fraught with danger for teams like Miami going up against Duke and their old head coach, Louisville against Clemson. You never know. We have the Hudson hotline open.
877-2-RADIO-U.
We're talking best type of sandwich. What is the best type? Not the best specific sandwich. Well, this one time at a diner in Biloxi, I had it. No. What is the best type of sandwich overall to generally have? Because I have a survey here that actually shows America's thoughts. I want to see how our thoughts compare to what America thinks as a whole. Producer Aly, what do you think is the best type of sandwich?
So my favorite type of sandwich is based entirely off of how I grew up. So it's very influenced by that.
Okay.
So my mom would always make me for lunch all the time, going to school, tuna sandwiches. So I love tuna sandwiches. It's not at the top? Is that bad?
You know what? It's actually on the list at least. I was worried you were going to say something much weirder. Only 21% of people say that they, I guess, enjoy.
24%.
24%. Yeah,
Don't
I was looking
deny the 4%.
Okay,
the 3%ers.
This is crazy. Though. This is crazy because we did have a couple people text in. We did have a couple people text in peanut butter and jelly, which I think is a great answer.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jelly was lower than tuna on the list for like what Americans like as a whole. I think that's actually outrageous.
Maybe it's more of a kid thing. These were adults, so they were all picking, but all of sandwiches are potential kid options.
You're never too old for a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This is funny. Susanna said open faced. That's not what we're talking about. But that's a good way to think outside the box, to think outside the bun, as some might say. Some of the other, we did hear from someone saying Reuben, which I do not see on the list at all. So that's just, I hate to say all these are wrong.
It's their favorite sandwich. Yeah. It can't be wrong if it's their favorite.
There's no right or wrong answers. But a Reuben, I don't know if that's the right answer to me.
Reubens are good.
Not many people actually. So this makes me then question this entire survey. The number one answer, according to this survey that was done, says that by the way, Buttig, whatever that is, and National Sandwich Day coming up. I didn't know. They found that the grilled cheese is the most popular type of sandwich. How do you feel about grilled cheese?
I do like grilled cheese, but I got to be honest, I probably haven't eaten a grilled cheese sandwich in like 5 years.
What? That's so crazy.
No joke.
I can't believe it. I don't know if we can do a show together. You're going to have to go do a show with Nene. Grilled cheese. I think even he likes grilled cheese. Great to dip in ketchup. Grilled cheese, what I feel, and as I go through the options of sandwich, grilled cheese, a great grilled cheese may be better than any other, like the best version of any other sandwich. Can we say that?
The last time I had a grilled cheese sandwich was at a food truck that did gourmet.
Yeah.
And I have to say that's one of the best sandwiches. Like if you wanted a specific answer.
Yeah, specific.
That is probably one of the best sandwiches I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Yeah. So you had that and you're like, I don't want to spoil this for grilled cheese. I'm going to never eat one again.
Exactly. I had to lock that memory in.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought process. But I will say that like if you've ever had a bad grilled cheese, somebody who just didn't know how to make them, and there are people that do not know how to make grilled cheese or will make it on nasty bread, which I guess is true of any sandwich, but a bad grilled cheese can be pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, any sandwich can end up messed up and you're just like, I'm never eating that again.
Yeah. Some of the other ones that were high on the list, this is so general too. Chicken. What does that mean? Are we talking like deli chicken sliced up, or do we mean like fried chicken sandwich like Popeyes? Because obviously those are great too. Mm-hmm. Turkey was number 3, then ham, then tuna, then egg. That one I question too. Are we talking egg salad or like a breakfast sandwich?
I think either or, but I would pick like a breakfast sandwich over like just, hard boiled egg that's like split up or whatever.
I can't even. And
I could eat it, but
meatball sandwiches. Some of the other, we did hear from Nicole who said BLT.
Oh, that's good.
Daryl said pastrami. Do you rock with pastrami?
I don't think I've ever had pastrami.
I feel like that's an acquired taste. But not on the list. Well, you know what? Coming up here, do you think it's rather new in the world of sandwiches, but do you think there's any chance about an hour from now when we try the new Picklewich from Jimmy John's that makes it into this list?
No.
0 chance. But we're going to try it anyways. It is the Hudson Show's weekend tradition, your weekend watch list here on RadioU, letting you know which new movies are in theaters you could be enjoying, or maybe not so much this weekend. And it's an interesting weekend. I'm not going to say bad. But there's no Venom out this weekend. There's no Joker, which maybe is for the best. We'll start with a movie called Here that is out in theaters this weekend. Multiple generations of couples and families inhabit the same house or home over the course of a century. Doesn't that sound like the worst?
Yeah, not great.
I don't know who's in it, but it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who's done some very famous films. Mm-hmm. Pirates of the Caribbean, Forrest Gump. This doesn't sound anything like that. It sounds boring. It has a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Actually, you know what? I think this movie has some famous actors in it, and they did like some CGI, like make them look younger thing.
Oh, yeah.
To do the multiple generations thing.
Well, that can't save this. Tom Hanks is in it.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
It's Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, both from Forrest Gump.
Yep.
That can't save it, though. Ignatiy Vishnevetsky of the AV Club says, Here is ultimately too simplistic to work as either a domestic drama or a deconstruction of the same. An experiment in storytelling that turns out to be an object lesson in undercooked ambition.
Oh.
So they tried, they just failed. So maybe that's not the best choice. How about this, though? A Real Pain. Mismatched cousins David and Benji, played by Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg, tour Poland to honor their grandmother. Their adventure becomes complicated as old tensions resurface while exploring their family history. Also directed by Jesse Eisenberg.
Interesting.
Does that sound like it would have a good or bad score on Rotten Tomatoes?
I can't tell. It sounds like it would be like reward show bait, but I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go.
That's what I'm hoping, is that it's reward show bait. It has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Reward show bait. Yep. Here we go. Oscar worthy.
Peter Rayner of the Christian Science Monitor says this film is saying that you can't will catharsis. It happens when it happens or it doesn't. This seems to be a more honest view of experience than what we are accustomed to seeing in the movies. And Kieran Culkin, I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's got some potential. And then finally, new in theaters this weekend, Absolution, starring Liam Neeson. An aging gangster tries to reconnect with his children and fix the mistakes from the past, but his criminal lifestyle soon threatens to destroy everything he holds dear. It sounds like every Liam Neeson movie in the last 20 years.
Taken 5 or whatever.
Which is why I want to watch it. But it has a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. David Ehrlich of IndieWire says Neeson's performance isn't the problem. He's perfect. He's perfected the archetype and then some. But even the most probing moments reverberate with self-parody. So those are that's it. That's what you've got, unless you want to watch an old movie that came out a week or two ago in theaters this weekend. Not much on streaming, I would say, either of note. So those are your options. Or you can just do what we'll probably do and watch college football.
Yep.
It is the Hudson Show on Radio U, 8772 Radio U. Producer Aly has joined me for a food fight, and I'm sorry that so early on in your career here at Radio U, we have to go with such a nasty, I'm assuming anyways, food fight. But Jimmy John's has unveiled, and they started selling it earlier this week, the Picklewich, which is literally a sandwich with a pickle substituted for bread. It looks surprisingly impressive, very meaty, which I'm sorry to say. I think it's just how they've rolled it all up. Because I think if you just put this on bread, it would be more flat and it wouldn't look as meaty as it is. Mm-hmm. But it's literally, we got the Vito Picklewich, salami, capicolo. What's that?
I don't know.
Provolone, that's cheese. Onion, lettuce, tomato, oil and vinegar, oregano, basil, and a whole sliced pickle. And they're only selling this for a couple weeks. I can't imagine why. They also have pickled Jimmy chips. People love the chips from Jimmy John's. And so these chips that we'll get to are salty, sour, and dilly pickle flavor added to our classic Jimmy chips. So we'll get to both of those. What do you want to do first? The chips or which, to be clear, are regular potato chips that are dill flavored. They're not pickled chips, which I was kind of, in a weird way, I was hoping for that.
Right, yeah. I think I'm probably going to like the pickle chips because I've had like dill pickle flavored chips before and have not had any issues. Mm. So let's get the worst part out of the way. Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah.
All right. Well,
sandwich.
If for those watching on the Hudson Show YouTube and Facebook, you can see that like it may not actually wind up being that much more pickly than an average pickle sandwich because they've taken all the middle fleshy part of the pickle away.
Yeah.
I'm also concerned it's dripping on our equipment. So
yeah,
we should probably be careful.
It's definitely
might be a mess.
It's definitely a little bit messy for sure because it got a little bit on the receipt. And I was like, oh, gosh.
And everything smells pickly around here now.
Yeah, it's just going to be smelling pickle in the studio for the next couple of days.
Yeah. And our hands are going to smell pickly no matter what I do.
This is like disintegrating.
Mrs. Hudson is not going to want to kiss me for a while. Not that that's different from normal, but all right, here we go.
Oh, I'm so not looking forward to this.
It's hard to bite. Or do I just not want to bite it?
Mm-mm. No. I feel like I'm chewing right into the microphone, and I'm sorry about that.
No, you have to do that in a food fight. Okay, what
are your thoughts?
Meat, cheese, oregano, basil. This is pretty good. I think I've got pickles all wrong.
If I had to eat this whole thing, I mean, I already have way too much pickle on my tongue right now. Mm-hmm. I can't. That's gonna go be donated to Nene.
I'm serious. I don't like pickles. I don't think it's that bad. I wouldn't want to eat more of it. I don't want to eat more.
It wasn't as bad as what I was expecting, but that's probably because I kept my expectations extremely low. Mm-hmm. But if I had to take another bite of it, I think it would like enhance the pickle flavor. You know what I mean?
You just get more and more.
Yeah.
You know, it would make.
But it was hard to bite.
It's not. It is hard to bite. It's not bad. You know what would make it better?
What?
Bread. If it was actually a sandwich, I think it would be way better. All right, let's try these chips. They can't be worse than the sandwich I just ate.
I got so much pickle juice on these chips from the sandwich. Oh, that's way too much.
Listen to that crunch. Mm-mm. I don't know if I care for. It's like a worse version of a salt and vinegar chip.
It's not. I love salt and vinegar chips. This is not it.
Yeah. You have to really love pickle to love any of this.
Yeah. Especially the chips. I was not expecting them to be that strong.
It's in your face.
I've had dill pickle before, but that is a lot of pickle.
Yeah. This is
like spicy pickle.
A real dilly of a pickle we found ourselves in. For doing
we found ourselves in a real pickle doing this Jimmy John's food fight.
You know what? Credit A for effort, I guess.
Yeah.
They got us to do, you know what they got us to do? A Jimmy John's food fight, which we've never done on the Hudson Show before. So in that sense, that's working. I do wish, like, why do we have to do the Picklewich? They also have new smoked cheddar bourbon club. Why couldn't we do that instead? That sounds much better. Way better.
The smoked bourbon, I would have loved that immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Clip that. It's the Hudson Show. It is the Hudson Show on Radio U, 8772 Radio U. I'm here with a guy that's been making great music for quite a while. They just put out a new song called If You Say So. It is Kevin from the band Disciple. Kevin, welcome to the Hudson Show.
What's happening, man? Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's so good to talk to you, Kevin. I know you guys have a lot going on. You've got a tour that, I mean, you're out on tour as we speak right now. But before we get to that, I want to know, what is the best concert that you've ever been to that you weren't on stage for?
I was not prepared for that question. There's so many. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is one of the first ones I ever saw. It was like 1988, Skid Row and Bon Jovi. It was Skid Row's first album in Bon Jovi, New Jersey. I just remember this epic moment. Bon Jovi has that ballad, I'll Be There For You, where he hits this high note, you know, and it's like the band drops out and he just hits this high note. I remember all the lights in the arena goes off and it's just a spotlight on him. And then the band comes back in, and when they did, there was these waterfall fireworks coming down in the background. And one day, whenever we have that budget, that's right. That's getting ripped off. It's one of the coolest moments I've ever seen in my entire life.
Hey, it's not a ripoff; it's a tribute to Bon Jovi.
There you go.
That sounds iconic, to say the least. Okay, so you guys, though, you put on a pretty epic show too. I've seen you numerous times.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
You know, I don't know how you do it. And what I mean is, I don't know how you guys have so many albums, how you narrow down, and, you know, so many songs that your fans would love to hear. How do you decide what actually makes it in to a set list for one of your shows?
Man, if a really big fan is coming to a show, there's 100% chance they're going to get disappointed. That's just so, yeah, right. 100% chance. And we hear it in every after the show that go, I wish you would have played whatever the song is, and we do our best to try to take note of, you know, what they're saying and rotate songs in and out. You know, we've got a few medleys that we do that, you know, kind of please everybody, but at the same time, you know, there's still people that's like, oh, I wish it wasn't in a medley. I wish you would have played the full song. So, yeah, but, you know, it's a great problem to have. You know, it just means we've been doing it a long time, and very thankful to have been doing it for so long, and to still be making music that people like, instead of just having to play an album from 30 years ago. You know, it's kind of nice. That's
actually a great point. That you know, some bands just, you know, who I just saw a while ago is Tag Team, and they did Hoop There It Is. And then they also did the version from the Geico commercial. And like, they just have to do that every time. You guys, you have a lot of options for what you can do. And so I think that's actually a great problem to have.
The Geico version is so good.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember it word for word, but I know if I recalled it, I would be singing it for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
I remember.
I'll save everyone getting that stuck in their head and move on.
Peanut butter and something.
What I'm picking up, though, from you, Kevin, is that real fans should see you over and over and over again, because the more they see you, the more likely they will eventually hear that one song that they wanted to hear.
We change our set list up 3 times a year for sure, but little tweaks constantly.
Love it.
So we will have a set in the spring, a set in the summer, and a set in the fall. We're playing a couple of new songs that we've never played on this tour that we're doing right now. We're playing If You Say So, which is our new single. And then we also are playing Scapegoat, which is a song from our last album, Skeleton Psalms. And and bringing back a song like The Name from the Attack album. It's like the 10-year anniversary of Attack. And so, you know, we just always are doing something different, you know, and Scapegoat's probably one of the best live songs we've ever done. And If You Say So I think is my favorite Disciple song that we've ever done.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll tell people too that for Disciple, you're out on tour right now. You've got a show coming up for RadioU Ohio in Lancaster at Rock House 39. So there's more info on that at radiou.com.
Friday, November the 8th.
Yes. That's right. That's coming up
8 days from now.
Yeah. A week away, your chance to see Disciple in Ohio. And then you mentioned the song, If You Say So. I want to hear the story of that song. You say it's your favorite song you've ever done?
Ever. Yeah. Yeah. And I get to mention Skid Row twice in an interview today. It really has a lot of that kind of feel mixed in with a lot of Disciple roots. Our roots in the late 90s would be bands like Stuck Mojo and Pantera. Those were really the kind of the foundation that we built our guitar sound on, was those types of bands that, and Seven Dust, I would say as well, just kind of that mixture of riffs and melody where, we're there's a lot of those just heavy riffs mixed in with, a chorus that's kind of melodic. And If You Say So is really, lyrically, it's just a mission statement. It's kind of what we're all about, what we've always been about. That's, I grew up listening to those bands in the late 80s and early 90s that were very evangelical in their message and, reaching people. And that's kind of, what we've always been. But, the other thing was, the guys have been trying to get me to sing this high scream for a long time.
Yes.
And me and Andrew went to a Def Leppard concert last year in Columbus, actually.
Hey.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. In Columbus. And we were just goofing off and riding in a car together and singing all these high notes, just goofing out. Can you feel it in the air? Just all this high stuff, right? And I never do that in Disciple ever, because it's always, we were a band of the 90s, and all that old 80s stuff for screaming was not welcome in the 90s. Like if you were doing it, you were not welcome to do it anymore. So I never tried it. I never attempted it. I didn't think I was any good at it. I didn't even know that it was something in my arsenal, so to speak. And we were just goofing off, and he was like, "Why don't you do that?" And I'm like, because I had it in my head. It's just, cheesy and not cool and all this kind of stuff. Of course, we're driving hours to go watch a band sing that way.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, fine, I'll try it. Well, we're writing a song. I said, I think this song, If You Say So, has kind of got that little Skid Row vibe in it, Stuck Mojo, Skid Row vibe to it. I mean, I'll try it. And we kept trying to put it in there somewhere, and it just wasn't working. I didn't like it. And then I was like, here, I'll just do it at the end a couple of times or something. And we did. And we like it. We're having fun. But I've never done this live, in the studio is one thing, but when you're doing it every night, I'm nervous right before it. Every time I'm like, okay, because I'm not used to accessing those notes.
Right.
And so I'm having to actually use my brain and go, okay, this is how, this is how you need to breathe. This is where the note is. This is where, and it's real funny, but I've been able to do it. So
you've been able to pull it off.
I don't know if there'll be more to come. We'll see what our fans think.
I am lightheaded just thinking about it, but it's true. I was watching, I can't remember if it was your Instagram or just Disciples, but the video of you recording the note over and over. And I had that on a loop. I was like, this is amazing. So that needs to be experienced live for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. We did it. And then he was like, oh, I need to get a video of you doing it. So he had me do it a couple more times. And I was walking out of there with a concussion after he made me do that a few times. I was just walking to the car. A lot of people don't know that about, the way that these, when we scream a lot in the studio or that kind of scream that's even higher. I mean, it is a contact sport to sing that way in the studio. It's you feel like you've been in 12 rounds of a boxing match.
It's one thing to do it once in your whole set list, although you're going through a whole concert, so that's taking a lot out of you too. But to do that same note over and over again, that's gotta be a lot.
Yeah, actually, it's crazy because you do it the once, in a show, anytime there's like a scream or whatever, and it's fun. But in the studio, the dreaded words that you hear is "do it again." I don't want to do it again.
I think that one was good. We can. That's good enough.
Yeah. Do it again.
Well, definitely yet again worth seeing live. 100%. Disciple out on tour right now. They're coming to Lancaster, Ohio on November 8th. That is this coming Friday. And more shows as well around the country. If You Say So, the new song, check it out. Kevin from Disciple, thanks for hanging with us today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
It's the Hudson Show. Thanks for listening to the Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.